All right. It's probably because you want to know how to stay consistent with your content. If you don't know who I am, my name is Marvell. I run a marketing agency. I help creators and entrepreneurs grow their brand and create better content so they can get more clients and make more money. I quit my 9 to 5 so that I can travel the world and build my business. And I'm basically here to help people figure out how to do the same if that's what they want or whatever life they're looking to build. I've been creating content for 12 years now. I've been a social media manager 4 years. I've grown multiple brands, over 30,000 followers on TikTok. I've done a couple things, but one of the biggest problems I've heard from people, whether it's in the comments, during coaching calls, past clients, like one of the biggest things I hear is that they have a problem staying consistent with social media. This usually comes down to a number of reasons. So I wanted to create a training to help address those issues. So we're gonna hop right into it. One of the biggest reasons people find it hard to stay consistent on social media is because they don't know what to talk about. They don't know where to start. They either don't know what content to create or they don't know how to talk about the content or how to talk about the topics that they want to create content about. I'm going to create a separate training focused purely on how to come up with ideas for content and how to talk about them. That's going to be its own separate training. But when we're talking about consistency, you got to first understand the difference between frequency and consistency. Frequency is how often you post. Consistency is the ability to continue to post at that frequency for a long period of time, right? So people, they'll have issues trying to figure out how often I should post, but those are really like minute details. Knowing how frequently you should post doesn't really do you much good if you can't stay on top of posting that frequency, right? So that's actually one of the first tips. You need to figure out what platforms you're going to be focusing on. Let's start there. You have to know what platforms do you do best on and what platforms are your target audience using. This comes down to doing like market research, demographic research. Go on different platforms and search for your niche, search for your keywords, search for your business, the services you provide, the products you provide, and just see where people are active. Google different demographics for social media platforms and they'll tell you the age ranges, whether it's more women heavy, men heavy, like they'll tell you the different platforms. Like Instagram is more millennials, probably like 25 to 45-ish, 40-ish, something like that. TikTok is 25 and under usually. But there's a lot more people on those platforms as well. And that's why I don't like to just say, oh, if you are targeting a younger demographic, only focus on TikTok. Because there's people on all platforms. But generally speaking, the younger crowd usually hangs out on TikTok. Older crowd usually on Instagram, Twitter if it's more education-based or business to business. Facebook tends to be an older crowd. Pinterest is much more aesthetic driven, so you'll find a lot of women over there. But yeah, understanding the platform you're using, understanding whether your audience is even there or not, and the culture of the platform. That understanding like what's a good frequency to post, what's required to be a good frequent poster on the platform. For example, Instagram, they prefer you to post like once a day. TikTok's more like 2-3 times a day if you can. Twitter, 20 times if you can. LinkedIn, maybe 3-4 times a week. It really depends on the platform and where you're going to see what you prefer. Do you prefer to write? Do you prefer to record videos? Do you prefer audio? Would you be better off doing a podcast? Do you write in short spurts like for Twitter? Do you write in long spurts like for a blog or Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is? Having a clear understanding of the platform you would do best on, as well as where your audience is going to be, is going to help you take a step in the right direction. Because if you're not a video person, you're going to have a hard time staying consistent. No matter how disciplined, no matter how focused they are, you're going to have a hard time staying consistent on TikTok or YouTube. If you're more of a writer, you're going to do better with Twitter, LinkedIn, stuff like that. The more you can cross media, the more you can do different types of media, like writing, video, audio. The more you can do different types and excel at those, the better off you'll be. But focus on like one main platform that you should be focused on and just go heavy on that platform. So you're going to pick a platform. You're also going to pick a frequency that you're going to post. You're going to pick how often. You're going to set up your minimums for the week. So you should have 2 targets that you're aiming for. You should have a minimum and you should have a goal. Let me just say, that's not mine. That's something I remixed from Jade Beeson. She's one of the dopest creators. I got that from her min-max method. I kind of remixed that a little bit. But yeah, okay. You should have a minimum amount. Like you don't go below this. You will never go below this. This is always going to be your minimum. I'm always going to at least put out this much content. And then you should have a goal for the week. So let's say for Instagram, your minimum is 3 to 5 times a week. Your goal may be 7 times a week. But as long as you're hitting your minimum 3 to 5 times, that's going to give you that feeling of accomplishment. Like, okay, I'm still making progress. I'm still moving forward, right? So set up a frequency that you want to post. If you really want to get down to it, set up the days that you're going to post, the frequency and the days. That's ideal. You want to have set days that you're going to post consistently, because once the algorithms on the social media platforms, once they pick up that, oh, you always post around 10 o'clock at noon, you always post at Thursdays at 9, whatever, the more you can get consistent with that and continuously hit that time slot, those algorithms are going to pick you up as a consistent poster, and they'll be able to push your content more because they know that you're going to be continuously posting, right? So you're going to pick a platform, you're going to pick a frequency, something that you're going to be able to stick to. And when you do this, make sure you're taking a real look at yourself. Make sure you're taking a real look at your life. One of the biggest problems people have is that we underestimate how much time it takes to accomplish a task, and we overestimate how much we're able to actually get done. So be realistic, whether you have a job, whether you have a family, a 9-to-5, pets, whatever it is, be realistic about your life, your responsibility, things that you have to do, and figure out when it's going to be conducive to you, when you're going to be able to create the content, editing, do everything that comes with keeping up with that frequency that you set. So you set that minimum, right? You set that minimum amount that you wanted to post. What are you going to have to do to hit that minimum every week? So you want to have those minimums that you set. You want to make sure that you're giving yourself realistic amount of time to actually hit those. So that way you're not feeling overwhelmed. You're not feeling like a failure. If you don't hit your goal, if you don't hit that 7 posts in a week, you still hit your minimum, or you still were able to make sure like, okay, I didn't hit what I was supposed to. I didn't hit my goal, but I hit my 3 for this week. Next week I can do better. So should constantly be trying to improve on what you're doing. So if you're hitting your goals every week, you want to try and put out better content. If you're putting out better content, you want to put out more valuable content. You want to get more follows. You want to get more shares. You want to get more saves. It becomes a constantly building on top of its, building on itself. But you have to start with like your minimums, your bare minimums. Like, I'm not going below this, to really get yourself in that habit. That's another tip. Make it a habit. Set aside time each week. I know a lot of creators will tell you to batch create. It's really a hack. It's really like one of the biggest hacks. Like this video right here, this training, this is the fourth video I've recorded today. We'll talk about creation days and batch creating in a second. But getting in the habit of having a time where I know I'm going to be creating, it lets me get into that creator zone, get into that mood. I turn on the music, I get turned up, I get everything set up so that I know what I'm going to be doing. So the next tip I want to give you, you have your minimums, you have your goals. Give yourself some grace, okay? I see so many people, they get upset and they get down on themselves, they get into a funk, they didn't post enough for the week, they didn't hit their minimums, they didn't post for the day, they just feel like everything for that week is a fail, they've lost it, they have to talk themselves back up, they have to watch motivational videos to get back into it. Like, give yourself grace. Stop assuming that you're supposed to be perfect, that you're supposed to be doing everything the right way the first time. Like, it doesn't work like that. It has to become a habit. It has to become habitualized for you to really just be on it like that, to where you don't need the motivation, you don't need the videos, you can just hop back on it because this is what you do. But give yourself permission, give yourself grace to not be perfect. Holding that high standard, that high expectation over yourself when you don't hit it, and then kind of going into that funk where you just kind of beat yourself up and you spiral out of control, and now you're not making videos for like weeks and months at a time because I lost it and I'm never going to be great. Like, you have to snap yourself out of that. You have to give yourself permission to not be perfect today so that you can come back tomorrow and try it again. Don't let today's failure mess up your momentum. Don't let it knock you off course. Accept it for what it is, whether life got in the way, whether you were busy, whatever it was. Accept it for what it was and move on. Come back tomorrow and do it all over, okay? Don't wallow in the defeat. Don't wallow in the loss, okay? It's just going to hold you back. It's just going to hold you down. It's not going to be beneficial for you whatsoever, all right? Give yourself permission to not be perfect. Next tip, you want to plan ahead. You want to know what you're going to be shooting. You want to come into your recording days. You're going to set up recording days, right? And we're talking about that in a second. But you want to come into those days knowing what you're going to be shooting, at least having an idea, having a general idea of, I'm going to shoot this, and this. Like I said, this is my 4th video I'm shooting today. This is my long form day. Today I'm shooting all my long form content. So I'm knocking out 3-4 videos for YouTube. Tomorrow is another recording day. I'm going to come back and I'm going to knock it out on my short form videos. I have a whole idea bank of video ideas, of topics I want to talk about. So I shoot on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, right? On Sunday, I'll go through that list if I haven't already, and I'll pick out 4 to 5 videos that I want to shoot for my YouTube. And then I'll pick out 10, 15, 20, whatever it is, however many videos I decide I want to try and shoot. I pick out that many videos for my short form day. Then I'll just go through and I'll create outlines if necessary. Sometimes I'll just talk off the top of the head. I'll go off the top of the dome. But I've been trying to get better at going in with an actual outline of what I want to talk about just to keep me focused, because I used to have a really bad problem with rambling and kind of forgetting where I was going and what point I was making with my topic and all that. So that was an issue for me for a while. So I've been trying to get better at coming in with outlines. But sometimes I'll just shoot them off the top of my head, especially when it comes to short form videos or TikToks. I'll just hit record and know the topic and kind of go and then just clean it up in the end. But planning ahead, super key. Coming in with a plan is going to keep you from self-sabotaging. So you're not going to come in and be like, oh, I don't know what to talk about. I haven't done any research. I don't know what to say. Like, you're going to come in and you're going to know, I'm shooting this video. These are the points I want to hit. This is the purpose, whatever. I can give you a much more in-depth breakdown of like my content prep process and everything like that. If you want to see that, put it in the comments. I'll get it made for y'all. But plan ahead. Come in knowing what videos you're going to shoot, knowing what you're going to be talking about, the points you're going to hit. This is going to help you overcome that uneasy feeling, that anxious feeling that you're going to have when you start to recording, when you start getting into that record mode. You're going to feel that natural resistance, that feeling like, I don't want to do this. I'm tired, or I'm not ready. Like, you got to be able to push past that. You have to punch that shit in the face. Coming in with a plan, knowing what you're going to be shooting is going to help you get past that little roadblock. All right. Which brings me to my next point, batch create. Okay. Set aside time. You should have a specific time every week that you're creating content. And this could be writing, this can be recording, this can be shooting short form, this can be shooting long form. But there should be a time every week. You want to get into the habit of creating consistently every week. The reason most people fall off and aren't able to stay consistent is because they don't have any habits that keep them consistent. They don't have a habit or a system for creating content. They don't have a habit or a system for posting and staying active or staying in front of their audience. They're just kind of winging it or figuring it out as they go. So when you can have a system in place, you can have a process, when you know every Tuesday after I take my nap, that's when I wake up, I turn on the camera, I get into my mode, a shower, whatever it is. And this is shooting time, 2 to 4, like I'm blocking out this time. This is when I'm shooting. I'm shooting all my content here. Don't bother me. I'm not answering the phone. Phone's on do not disturb. Like, my roommates are going to be gone, whatever it is, you need to be in that place of recording. Set that time up every week and don't miss it. The reason you want to do batch creating is because, one, it gives you a chance to make a shit ton of content. So that way you're not constantly chasing your tail, trying to keep up or trying to figure out what to make on the fly and then just getting down about it because you can't figure anything out. You don't feel like writing a caption, all that shit, whatever. It gives you a chance to get into the flow state. If you've seen the movie Soul, you know, when he was playing the piano and he kind of went off into the other world and he was just like in his zone or whatever, that's called the flow state. We get into that and it takes about 15 to 30 minutes of like just focused work to get into that state. So when you're able to set aside time, you can get into that flow state, and usually you can stay in it for about an hour and a half, sometimes longer, depending on like how focused and how limited your distractions are. But you want to be able to get into that flow state because that's when you're going to be the most productive. If you ever notice, a lot of times the stuff that we do, like the task we have, it doesn't take a lot of time. We just get distracted by so much. We can just lose focus and start working on other things or pick up our phone, check emails, check social media. We get distracted by so much that it keeps us from finishing the task at hand. So when you're able to limit your distractions, you're able to just focus on that one project, that one thing. It boosts your productivity and helps you create a lot more and pump out a lot more content or finish that task, whatever it is. In this case, it will be creating more content. So if you can get into that flow state by setting aside this time, you don't have any distractions, there's nobody bothering you, phone's not going to ring, you're just going, you're just creating. Now you get to this point where you can just create content and just knocking shit out back to back to back to back. You feel me? Another tip is to have backup content, okay? And this is really important because you're going to have days where you don't feel like recording. You're going to have days where you don't feel like creating content. You're going to have days where life gets in the way, where you have to go help somebody move. You have to take somebody to the airport. You have to go to the doctor. Like, life is going to get in the way. Life is always going to get in the way. And the more backup content, the content on reserve you have, the easier it is to deal with those situations because you don't have to stress about, oh, I didn't get to record. Oh, I didn't make my video for the day. I'm going to be behind. And you start to spiral a little bit. It's like, oh, shit, I got this content in my phone or I got this content in my Google Drive. All I got to do is go post it real quick. That's all. Like, having a store of just backup content. I have like, let me see if I can pull it. So I have a folder in my Google Drive, right? It's called Random Posts, and it's just videos. It's just a bunch of videos of like B-roll or footage from like shoots or whatever. Like it's just footage that I could take and put some text over or like just post real quick. Having a backup folder like that, that is really going to help you with those days where you don't feel like creating or you're super busy, you're traveling, whatever it is. You're going to be able to still have content to post and it won't mess up your schedule. It won't mess up your consistency because you're going to have this backup, this supply of content that you have ready to post. When you having your backup content and when your content in general, make sure you're staying organized. Keep your content organized. All right. If you have content solely for TikTok, keep that separate from the content for your Instagram stories or the content for your B-Reels. With your backup content, you want to try to keep it as evergreen as possible. When I say evergreen, that means you can post it today and it'll make sense. You can post it in 6 months and it'll probably still make sense. So if you have something where you're talking about Valentine's Day or New Year's or a specific holiday, those aren't evergreen. Those have to be posted at that specific time because if something happens, you can't post content and you just pull out a random reel about Christmas. It's not going to make any sense. It's going to throw your audience off. They're going to feel like you're not paying attention or you don't really care about the quality of the content you're putting out, right? So you want to make sure the content is evergreen. That means it's always going to be relevant. It's always going to make sense no matter when you post it. Most of the content I try to create is evergreen because I want it to be relevant, whether it's today or whether you're watching it in a year. It'll still make sense. You're still going to need to understand your audience. You're still going to need to understand your branding. You're still going to need to know how to make content consistently. That's the key to creating content that's going to live on forever. That's the key to growing on YouTube, really, is creating evergreen content that people are going to need for months and years. So you want to create evergreen content. The best way to do that is one with talking head style videos like this, videos where you're talking about a topic that's related to your niche or your industry, but it's nothing specific about it. It's not relevant to any specific day. It's not relevant to any specific news cycle, anything like that. It's relevant. You can post it today, you can post it tomorrow, you can post it in a week, 6 months. It's going to make sense. So having talking head videos like this, clips like this, whether you record them or whether you're chopping them up from long form pieces of content like YouTube and saving those, having evergreen content where you're talking to the camera like this, always good to have in your backup. And then what I like to call your B-roll, and this, you'll see a lot of this type of content with people where they just put the overlay text on it, but they just put the overlay text on it, whether it's like a list or a tip or a hack, something motivational, something that's relevant, but it's just text that's put over a video. I call these B-reels because you're basically using, if you know anything about video or creating content, B-roll is the content that you use to fill in from your like talking head shots. When you're recording content or you're recording the video, you have the A-roll, which is like talking head, main timeline type stuff, right? But you also have B-roll. This is usually your shots of outside, your shots of the scenery to set the mood, bushes, whatever. Pretty much anything could be B-roll. So a lot of times people will take that B-roll, whether it's them sitting at a cafe or walking on a hike, walking their pet, eating, whatever it is. They'll take that B-roll and turn it into a piece of content by adding some type of text over it, some type of hack, tip, trick, story, whatever it is, putting some type of text over it. Those are really low energy pieces of content you can make very quick, bang them out really fast. But you want to keep a folder of just B-roll content. You use B-roll content, you can make B-reels, and those usually do very well because they're quick, actionable, and they're easy to share. So you want to have those. Those are the two main types of backup content you want to have. You want it to be evergreen, but you also want it to be either a talking head or B-roll footage that you can use as B-reels. And another hack that you can use for this, so you'll have your B-roll content, right? You'll have the footage that's just you out, whatever, doing whatever. But if you have a notes, if you use Notion or if you use Keep Note or use your notes in your iPhone, use that to keep a list of little tips, tricks, hacks, things that you can use to either make a long post about, create a video about, or turn into a B-reel. If you have a list of stuff that you just think of throughout the day, because usually as we're going throughout the day, we'll hear something, we'll see something, we'll watch a video, we'll watch a podcast, we'll read a book, whatever it is, and an idea will come to us. And if you don't write that idea down, there's a good chance that it won't come back later. You won't remember. We have very short attention spans. Social media is not helping with that at all. But anyway, yeah, if you don't write it down, there's a good chance you'll lose that idea. So it's best to just have a note. Keep a notebook, keep your notes pad open, have a page in Notion where you can just put your notes in, but you want to just be able to list out your ideas. And when you're doing this, make sure you're not just writing an idea and not giving any follow-up or definition with it. I've had plenty of times, plenty of situations where I'll have a fire idea and I'll just write down the idea or write down the topic or write down like a quick thought. And then I'll go back to it in a week or 2 weeks, sometimes months later, and I'll have no idea where I was trying to go with it, why it was relevant, what it was supposed to be for, and I just got to delete it and get rid of it because I didn't give any context to it. So whenever you're taking your notes and you have these spur of the moment sparks of ideas that just pop into your head, you want to make sure you're keeping track of them, writing them down, but also giving yourself a little reminder, a little extra detail so that you know when you come back to it, oh, this is the point I was trying to make, or this is where I was going to go with it. So you're not just having a bunch of ideas that you have no idea how to use. That makes sense. You feel me? All right, cool. Another trick, another tip. I don't know what number I'm on. I didn't have a set number of things that I wanted to do, but it just turned into a list. Couple more, and I got these ones. Well, two of them. Next two I got from Jade. I was watching her content, and that kind of sparked this video. I wanted to make this video. I knew I wanted to make this video, but I was watching Jade's content, and she kind of helped me figure out what to do. And she gave me some tips for this. One thing that she mentioned, when you get stuck, right? If you ever get stuck, if you ever feel like, oh, like you get to the point where you're supposed to be making your content, you're supposed to be batch recording or whatever, right? And you just feel like, oh, I don't want to set up the camera. It's too much. Figure out how you can make it easier. Figure out what you can do to make recording easier. And if that means not using the camera and not using your light, if it just means like shooting on your front porch where it's nice light or next to a window with just your phone, like a lot of times it's way better to just get it recorded as opposed to getting the whole setup and everything done, like making sure you have the light and the camera and the microphone and everything. Sometimes that just takes a lot out of you and it pulls away from the creation process. So get rid of all that. Just use your phone. If worst comes to worst, if you ever feel like you're not in the mood, literally just pull out your phone and start recording. Just pull out your phone, start recording, and start talking. That will get you into the mode where you're ready to talk about it and you want to finish it because you already started it. You might as well finish it. But when you are sitting there looking at the tripod's not set up, your area's dirty, you don't feel like cleaning, like it makes it so much easier to just not do it. When in actuality, all you really have to do is just take your phone and hit record. Don't worry about making it super manicured, curated, or produced. Just get the content recorded. That's going to help you stay ahead a lot more than other things. Make it easier on yourself, okay? So you want to make it easier on yourself. If you're already going to be feeling like this resistance to getting it done, you want to take away as much as you can by making it as easy as possible. And the easiest way to do that is just by pulling out your phone and recording, all right? Another tip you can do, I don't do this personally, but I know this would be very helpful for a lot of people. Have an accountability partner, somebody who's going to keep you on point, who's going to keep you on track, who's going to make sure that you're posting the content when you're supposed to. That's actually one of the benefits of my 12-week coaching program. I basically condensed my coaching program down into 12 weeks where I take the main principles and I teach those on a weekly basis. And then we have a Q&A at the end of the week based on the topic we talked about and any other questions or problems you may be dealing with, right? But along with that, along with the 12-week coaching program, you have a community. You get access to the community. And in that community, what I have you do is actually post your wins and post your content for the day. Nobody's going to see your content. The people in the community are going to see your content and they're going to be there to root you on. But what I also encourage is for you to get an accountability partner, somebody who's going to keep you on track, somebody who's going to be like, hey, did you post today? And you know you're going to have to deal with that. You know they're going to hit you up. You know it's going to be somebody like, I don't want to have to say no. I don't want to look like I'm not on my shit. So it's going to keep you consistent. It's going to keep you posting. Find you a business bestie, find you a entrepreneur friend who is also working on growing their brand, who's also working on growing their business. If you don't have any around you, there are plenty of people on Instagram. There's plenty of people on TikTok. You can literally post a video, hey, I'm looking for a business bestie, somebody who's going to help keep me accountable. I help keep them accountable. Literally, you can go make that video right now. More than likely, you're going to get about 5-6 people. It'll be like, oh, I'm interested. Oh, I'm down. Let me know. Like, because people need that. People need that assistance. People need that accountability. So get you an accountability partner. If you're interested in my 12-week program, I do have a link in the bio. It's for a funnel. It's going to take you to book a call with me so that we can see if you're a good fit for the program. If you're interested, go ahead, give that a click. If not, whatever. Then the final tip I have for you is scheduling your content. When you get it all said and done, when you have everything recorded, you don't want the scheduling to be the one reason why you don't post, or you don't want you to forget and that be the reason why the content didn't go out, especially if you spent all this time working on it, getting it all set up, getting it prepared, and then you get it all done and you forgot to post it, or you forget to put it out. Now you're a little bit behind. Like, you don't want to deal with that. You want to make this as easy as possible. You want to make the process as easy as possible. And the best way to do this, to get this off of your hands, is by scheduling your content ahead of time. There's a number of different platforms. Facebook Business Manager or Meta Business Manager, whatever. They have a scheduling platform. You can schedule directly in the Instagram app. I actually have a video. It tells you exactly how to do it. It's really easy. You can schedule straight from the app. Later, Hootsuite, Plannable. You can schedule your TikToks directly on TikTok. You can schedule your YouTubes directly on YouTube. You can schedule Instagram directly on Instagram. But use a scheduling platform. Use something that you can schedule your content ahead of time. Because the biggest thing that's going to stop you is not going to be the posting. It's going to be the caption. That's going to be the biggest hindrance when you're trying to post like on the fly, when you're trying to like post daily. Trying to write a caption, like a good caption, it can hold you up for like 20, 30 minutes, sometimes longer. Like trying to write something that's really good, that's going to do the job. This is going to have SEO, it's going to have hashtags, it's going to like hit the points that you wanted to hit. Writing a really good caption can take time, and you don't want that to be the reason why you're not putting out content. So to combat that, get you a scheduling platform, something that you can use, and schedule your content ahead of time, and make sure you're writing your captions ahead of time. If you have problems writing your captions, you can always use ChatGPT, Copy.ai, Jasper.ai, things like that. But having those systems in place where you have the content, you have it all ready, you have it all shot, you batch create it, you're writing your captions out ahead of time, you're getting it all scheduled, that's going to save you a lot of time, and it's going to make it a lot easier to not only stay consistent, but put out a lot more content, because now you have a system in place where it's like, okay, I know I'm recording these days, I'm prepping on these days, the rest of the week I'm doing editing and getting everything scheduled. Like, once you have that in place, you have a bang, 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 like, you know the process front to back. Then you can bring on a virtual assistant and have them take care of everything after the recording. Once you get it all up, get it all recorded, upload it to like a Google Drive, they could take care of the editing, the scheduling, everything like that. But that's a little bit down the road. Don't want to overwhelm you or anything. But getting to making sure that you have a system in place that's going to habitualize and make a habit out of creating content and posting the content, and making that as easy as possible by using AI, using scheduling tools, things like that. That's going to make it so that it's a lot easier to show up and stay consistent with your social media and your brand. All right. If this was helpful at all, make sure you hit the like and share it with somebody that might need it. If you want more content like this, hit the subscribe, because I do this shit like every other day, every week. Try to do like 3 times a week. That's my goal. My minimum is like 1 time. So if very minimum, you're going to hear from me 1 time every week. Goal is 3. Might start to be 4. Who knows? I'll probably incorporate a live in at some point. If this helps you at all with staying consistent, if you're still a little confused on how to be consistent, or if you have another tip or a trick for how you stay consistent on social media, put it in the comments, because I want to know, because I'm always looking for new tips and trying to get better with this shit. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.